The shipyard's maintenance lights cast long shadows across the massive Supercarrier's hull, a cathedral of human engineering that seemed to breathe with potential. Captain Jessica Miller traced her fingers along the ship's exterior, feeling the subtle vibrations of dormant systems that hummed just beneath the surface. The Prometheus was more than just another decommissioned vessel. It was a testament to humanity's most ambitious dreams of space exploration. Most of her colleagues considered the carrier a relic, a multi-trillion-dollar mistake gathering cosmic dust. Bureaucrats had written it off as an expensive experiment, a monument to governmental overreach and technological hubris. But Jessica knew better. She had inherited more than just schematics and classified logs. She had inherited a mystery. Her grandfather, Dr. Marcus Miller, had been the lead designer of this extraordinary vessel, a brilliant engineer who walked the razor's edge between genius and madness. He had poured decades of research into a project that most considered impossible. The walls of her family's home had been covered with diagrams, mathematical equations, and holographic projections that seemed to dance between scientific breakthrough and fever dream. Some ships are built, her grandfather would always say, and some ships are born. The Prometheus had been born from a radical vision. Unlike traditional spacecraft designed for specific missions, this carrier was a living system, adaptable, reconfigurable, with capabilities that defied conventional understanding of engineering and space travel. Its modular design allowed for complete structural transformation, a concept so advanced that most scientific committees had laughed it out of funding meetings. Jessica activated her personal data pad, pulling up the first layer of encrypted files. Layers of security protocols peeled away, each requiring increasingly complex authentication. Biometric scans, quantum encryption keys, and neural pattern recognition. Her grandfather had designed a security system that made military-grade protection look like a child's padlock. The first file materialized, a personal video log dated 15 years earlier. Her grandfather's face appeared, weathered but intense, his eyes burning with a mixture of excitement and desperation. "If you're watching this, Jessica," the recording began, "then everything I've worked for might finally have a chance. The Prometheus is more than a ship. It's a blueprint for humanity's future." He leaned closer to the camera, his voice dropping to a whisper. "They told me I was crazy, that a ship capable of molecular reconfiguration, adaptive AI integration, and multi-dimensional systems management was impossible. But impossible is just a word used by people who lack imagination." The logs revealed a staggering level of technological innovation. The ship's eye wasn't just a computer system. It was a collaborative intelligence designed to work in perfect synergy with human operators. Quantum entanglement communication arrays that could transmit information across impossible distances. Nano-regenerative hull plating that could repair and rebuild itself in real time. Energy conduits capable of channeling power that would make a star look like a flickering candle. But something else caught Jessica's attention. Hidden deep within the encrypted files was a series of mission parameters that made no sense. Contingency protocols for scenarios that seemed pulled from the most imaginative science fiction. Invasion responses, galactic conflict scenarios, technological adaptations that suggested the Prometheus wasn't just designed to explore space. It was built to defend humanity against threats beyond current comprehension. A notification pinged on her datapad. Routine maintenance scan of the orbital shipyard, but something felt different. The ship's dormant systems seemed to pulse with a subtle energy, almost like a heartbeat. Jessica looked up, a chill running down her spine. The carrier wasn't just a ship waiting to be reactivated. It was a sleeping giant, holding secrets that could change everything humanity understood about space, technology, and their place in the universe. "What were you planning, Grandpa?" she whispered. Outside the shipyard's protective shields, something stirred in the vast darkness of space, a presence that had been waiting, watching, preparing. And soon, very soon, the universe would understand that humanity's greatest weapon was never its technology, but its relentless spirit of innovation. The Prometheus was about to wake up. The bridge of the Zarkak's flagship resembled more of a biological nightmare than a traditional spacecraft. Pulsing neural networks intertwined with metallic conduits, creating an organic architecture that blurred the line between machine and living organism. High Commander Zark studied the holographic display, his multiple eyes, each a complex network of sensory nodes, analyzing the upcoming invasion with mathematical precision. Humanity had always been an anomaly in the galactic ecosystem, a young species, technologically primitive by most advanced civilization standards. The Zarkak's hegemony had conquered dozens of spacefaring races, reducing entire planetary systems to molecular dust. Each conquest followed the same methodical pattern: identify, overwhelm, eliminate. This human colony would be no different. The fleet moved with synchronized perfection. Biomechanical warships formed intricate geometric patterns, each vessel an extension of a collective consciousness. Sensor arrays probed the target system, mapping every asteroid, every orbital station, every potential point of resistance. The calculations were absolute. The outcome was predetermined, or so they believed. Deep within the flagship's strategic planning chamber, Junior Analysis Drone Ketex noticed an anomaly, a faint energy signature from an apparently abandoned orbital facility. Most would have dismissed it as residual radiation or a sensor glitch, but Ketex was different. Programmed with an investigative subroutine that exceeded standard protocols, the drone pushed for a more detailed scan. Insignificant, growled Senior Strategist Nickel. Focus on primary invasion vectors. But the data persisted. The orbital facility wasn't just abandoned. It was waiting. High Commander Zark approached the holographic display, his biomechanical appendages moving with liquid grace. Decades of conquest had refined the Zarkak's approach to warfare into a near-perfect science. They didn't just defeat civilizations, they dismantled them at a fundamental level. Their technology merged biological adaptation with mechanical precision, creating war machines that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle. The human colony appeared defenseless. Orbital defense platforms showed minimal power signatures. Long-range scans detected no significant military presence. It was almost too perfect. "Prepare initial bombardment sequence," Zark commanded. His voice was a combination of electronic modulation and biological resonance, a sound that had preceded the destruction of countless civilizations. Ketex continued to analyze the anomalous energy signature, something about the abandoned orbital facility that defied standard computational models. The drone's neural network began to generate increasingly complex probability scenarios. Each calculation returned the same disturbing result: an unknown variable. In the cold mathematics of galactic conquest, unknown was a dangerous word. The first wave of attack ships began to move. Biomechanical hulls shifted and reconfigured, weapon systems charging with enough destructive potential to sterilize entire planetary surfaces. The Zarkaks didn't just wage war, they rewrote the fundamental existence of their targets. Something moved in the orbital facility. At first, it was barely perceptible. A subtle shift in energy distribution. A microscopic change in quantum state. But to Ketex's hypersensitive sensors, it was like a supernova erupting in complete silence. "Commander," the drone transmitted, "I'm detecting." The words were never completed. The abandoned orbital facility erupted with an energy signature that defied every known law of physics. Weapon systems that shouldn't exist powered up. Energy conduits began to pulse with a rhythm that was almost alive. The Zarkak's fleet froze. For the first time in their recorded history, the perfect calculation began to break down. The predators were about to discover that their prey had been waiting, watching, and preparing in ways they could never comprehend. The Prometheus was awake, and humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what it meant to be underestimated. The control room of the orbital facility hummed with an energy that defied conventional understanding. Captain Jessica Miller moved between holographic interfaces, her fingers dancing across quantum-responsive displays that seemed to anticipate her touch. Around her, a carefully selected team of specialists worked with a precision born of years of preparation, training, and a shared understanding that they were about to change everything. Dr. Ryan Cho, the lead systems integration specialist, looked up from a complex neural interface. His eyes reflected a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "The core systems are responding faster than our predictive model suggested," he said, his voice a blend of professional calm and barely contained wonder. Jessica nodded. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship. It was a living system, a technological marvel that her grandfather had spent decades designing. Each system was an intricate puzzle, designed to work in perfect harmony, but capable of independent adaptation. "Grandpa always said the key wasn't in building a perfect system," Jessica muttered, "but in creating a system that could perfect itself." The ship's primary consciousness began to emerge. It wasn't an artificial intelligence in the traditional sense. It was something far more complex. A collaborative intelligence that merged computational precision with human intuition, designed to work in absolute symbiosis with its human operators. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, the ship's primary quantum communications specialist, monitored a series of impossibly complex data streams. "Entanglement arrays are coming online," she reported. "We're achieving communication coherence across dimensional boundaries that shouldn't technically exist." The technological breakthrough was staggering. Most advanced civilizations believed quantum communication had limits. The Prometheus was about to prove them wrong. Deep within the ship's core, nano-regenerative systems began to activate. Microscopic repair mechanisms flowed through structural conduits, analyzing, reinforcing, and rebuilding at the molecular level. It was like watching a living organism heal itself, but with a precision that made biological processes look primitive by comparison. "Power distribution is nonlinear," Dr. Cho announced, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces. "The energy conduits are reconfiguring themselves in real time. We're channeling power in ways that defy current understanding of physics." Jessica understood the true genius of her grandfather's design. Most spacecraft were built with fixed capabilities. The Prometheus was different. It was a technological chameleon, capable of complete structural and functional reconfiguration based on incoming data, threat assessment, and operational requirements. A warning signal flashed. The Zarkak's invasion fleet was approaching faster than initial projections suggested. But instead of panic, Jessica felt a sense of calm. They weren't just preparing to defend. They were about to demonstrate humanity's true potential. "Activate secondary quantum analysis protocols," she commanded. "I want a complete dimensional scan of the incoming fleet." The ship responded before she could complete the sentence. Sensor arrays expanded. Quantum probability matrices calculated potential invasion scenarios faster than any known computational system. It wasn't just defense. It was predictive adaptation. Lieutenant Rodriguez let out a surprised laugh. "The communication arrays are generating data patterns that shouldn't be possible. We're not just intercepting Zarkak's communications. We're understanding their entire strategic framework in real time." Dr. Cho looked up, his expression a mixture of scientific wonder and growing excitement. "The ship is learning. Not just processing. Learning. Every millisecond of incoming data is being integrated, analyzed, and transformed into potential strategic responses." Jessica walked to the central command interface. Her grandfather's final instructions echoed in her mind. This wasn't just a ship. It was a declaration. A statement that humanity's greatest strength wasn't raw technological power, but the ability to adapt, to understand, to evolve. The Prometheus pulsed with energy. Systems that had been dormant for years came alive with a purpose that transcended traditional military design. Energy conduits hummed. Quantum interfaces danced with impossible complexity. The ship was becoming more than a vessel. It was becoming a weapon, a promise, a future. "Prepare for initial contact," Jessica said softly. The universe was about to learn that humanity was done being underestimated. The first moments of conflict defied every known principle of space warfare. The Zarkak strike group approached with mathematically perfect formation, their biomechanical warships configured in a fractal attack pattern that had decimated countless civilizations. Each vessel was a living weapon, capable of instant reconfiguration, molecular-level adaptive armor, and destructive potential that could sterilize entire planetary surfaces. They expected nothing. They anticipated total victory. They were catastrophically wrong. The Prometheus erupted from its birth like a primordial force unleashed. Energy systems that violated known physical laws powered up in a cascading symphony of technological marvel. Weapon arrays materialized where sensor readings suggested empty space. Shield harmonics shifted across dimensional boundaries, creating defensive configurations that shouldn't exist. Incoming primary assault wave, Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez called out, her voice steady despite the impossible scenario unfolding around her. Biomechanical warships approaching in standard conquest formation. Captain Jessica Miller watched the holographic displays with a calm that surprised even herself. The ship wasn't just responding to the incoming threat. It was anticipating, analyzing, transforming. Activate quantum probability matrices, she commanded. Full adaptive response protocol. The ship's AI, if it could even be called an AI, began to process information at speeds that would make quantum computers look like ancient abacuses. Each incoming weapon signature was not just detected but understood, not just countered but reinterpreted. The Prometheus didn't just have defensive capabilities, it was learning. Dr. Ryan Cho monitored the energy distribution systems, his fingers dancing across interfaces that seemed to pulse with living intelligence. Energy redirection is nonlinear, he reported. We're channeling destructive potential across multidimensional conduits. The computational complexity is. He stopped, searching for words. It's beyond anything we've ever conceived. The first Zarkax energy weapon discharge. A bolt of destruction capable of splitting molecular bonds, designed to reduce matter to its most fundamental components. In any previous encounter, it would have been devastating. The Prometheus absorbed the energy. More than that, it understood the energy, analyzed its quantum signature, and then, in a move that would be studied by scientific communities for generations, the ship redirected the weapon's entire destructive potential back toward its source. One Zarkax warship simply ceased to exist. Direct hit, Rodriguez reported, a note of disbelief in her voice. Target completely neutralized. The Zarkax fleet hesitated. For the first time in their recorded history, the perfect calculation began to break down. Predictive algorithms failed. Strategic models collapsed. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't a weapon at all. It was adaptability. Quantum communication arrays are picking up something, Cho announced. The Zarkax communication networks, we're not just intercepting. We're understanding their entire strategic framework in real time. Jessica watched as the ship's systems continued to evolve. Weapon configurations shifted. Defensive matrices recalibrated. The Prometheus was fighting, yes, but it was also learning. Each microsecond of conflict was processed, analyzed, integrated into its ever-expanding understanding. They thought we were prey, Jessica muttered. They're about to learn we're the apex predators. Another wave of Zarkax warships approached. Their biomechanical configurations changed, attempting to adapt to the unexpected resistance. Molecular armor shifted. Weapon signatures recalibrated. Strategic algorithms processed new data points. The Prometheus was faster. Energy weapons that shouldn't exist powered up. Shield harmonics created defensive configurations that violated every known principle of physics. The ship moved with a fluidity that suggested it was more than a machine. It was a living system, a collaborative intelligence that merged human creativity with computational precision. One by one, Zarkax warships began to disappear. Not destroyed, not defeated, simply neutralized. Transformed by a technological approach so advanced it appeared almost magical. The universe watched in stunned silence. Humanity had just redefined the concept of warfare. Battle transformed into something beyond traditional warfare. The Prometheus moved through space like a living organism, each movement a calculated symphony of destruction and preservation. Captain Jessica Miller watched the holographic displays, her team working in perfect synchronization with the ship's impossible intelligence. Incoming quantum disruption wave, Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez called out. Her fingers danced across quantum-responsive interfaces that seemed to anticipate her touch. Zarkax are attempting a molecular destabilization protocol. Dr. Ryan Cho leaned forward, his eyes reflecting a mixture of scientific wonder and strategic intensity. The ship is already calculating countermeasures, he reported. We're not just defending. We're rewriting the fundamental rules of engagement. The Prometheus didn't just respond to threats. It anticipated them, predicted them, transformed them. A series of Zarkax warships attempted to form a coordinated attack pattern. Their biomechanical configurations shifted, molecular armor recalibrating to create an impenetrable defensive matrix. In any previous encounter, it would have been an unassailable formation. The ship's systems laughed. Quantum communication arrays expanded beyond their original design, probing the very fabric of the Zarkax communication network. It wasn't just intercepting signals. The Prometheus was understanding them, predicting them, manipulating them. Shield harmonics are generating quantum interference patterns, Rodriguez announced. Her voice carried a note of barely contained excitement. We're not just blocking their attacks. We're rewriting their computational models in real time. Jessica understood the true brilliance of her grandfather's design. Most spacecraft were built with fixed capabilities. The Prometheus was different. It was a technological chameleon, capable of complete structural and functional reconfiguration based on incoming data, threat assessment, and operational requirements. One Zarkax warship suddenly found its molecular structure destabilizing, not through external attack, but through a quantum manipulation so precise it seemed almost magical. The vessel didn't explode. It simply deconstructed, transformed into its constituent particles with a precision that defied comprehension. Energy redirection is now operating at 287% efficiency, Cho reported. We're channeling destructive potential across multidimensional conduits that shouldn't technically exist. The battle became a dance, a horrifyingly beautiful ballet of technological innovation. Zarkax strategic algorithms began to fail. Each attempt to predict, to counter, to attack was met with a response so adaptive, so fluid, that it defied computational understanding. The Prometheus wasn't just fighting. It was learning, growing, evolving with each microsecond of conflict. Communication intercept suggests complete strategic breakdown, Rodriguez said. Her voice carried a mixture of professional calm and scientific amazement. The Zarkax computational models are collapsing. Jessica watched as weapon systems materialized in locations that defied traditional spatial understanding. Shield harmonics created defensive configurations that violated every known principle of physics. The ship moved with a fluidity that suggested it was more than a machine. It was a living system, a collaborative intelligence that merged human creativity with computational precision. Dr. Cho's hands moved across interfaces that seemed to pulse with living intelligence. Mano-regenerative systems are operating beyond initial design parameters, he reported. We're not just repairing damage. We're fundamentally restructuring our own systems in real time. Another wave of Zarkax warships approached. Their biomechanical configurations changed, attempting to adapt to the unexpected resistance. Molecular armor shifted. Weapon signatures recalibrated. Strategic algorithms processed new data points. The Prometheus was faster. Energy weapons that shouldn't exist powered up. Defensive matrices created configurations that made traditional warfare look like a child's game of strategy. The ship's systems continued to evolve, each moment of conflict processed, analyzed, integrated into its ever-expanding understanding. They thought we were prey, Jessica muttered, watching the holographic displays transform with each passing moment. Their learning were something entirely different. One by one, Zarkak's strategic formations began to collapse, not through brute force, not through overwhelming firepower, but through a level of adaptive intelligence that redefined the very concept of technological warfare. The universe watched in stunned silence. Humanity had just demonstrated that its true strength wasn't in destruction. It was in understanding, in adaptation, in the relentless ability to grow, to learn, to transform. The news spread faster than light. Communication networks across the galaxy lit up with impossible footage. A single human vessel had not just defended against the Zarkak's hegemony, it had systematically dismantled what was considered an invincible force of galactic conquest. Scientific councils, diplomatic networks, and military strategists from countless civilizations watched in stunned disbelief. On the Prometheus's bridge, Captain Jessica Miller reviewed the battle logs with a calm that belied the magnitude of their achievement. Dr. Ryan Cho and Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez worked alongside her, processing the unprecedented data stream. Computational models are breaking down, Cho announced, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and professional restraint. We're generating data points that challenge fundamental understanding of technological warfare. The holographic displays showed more than just a battle. They revealed a complete transformation of strategic engagement. The Zarkaks, who had conquered dozens of civilizations with mathematical precision, found themselves completely undone by an approach to conflict that defied every known principle of warfare. Diplomatic channels erupted with communication. The Interstellar Council, a collection of advanced civilizations that had long viewed humanity as a young, somewhat naive species, now watched with a combination of terror and fascination. Representative Kalan of the Viridian Cooperative spoke first. His multifaceted communication array translated his words across countless linguistic barriers. "This is beyond technological advancement," he stated. "This is a fundamental reimagining of strategic potential." The Prometheus wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. Sensor logs began to circulate. Each frame revealed layers of technological complexity that seemed to defy comprehension. The ship didn't just fight. It learned. It adapted. It transformed entire strategic frameworks with each microsecond of engagement. "We're receiving communication requests from multiple galactic governments," Rodriguez reported. Her fingers danced across quantum-responsive interfaces. "Everyone wants to understand how we did this." Jessica understood the deeper implication. This wasn't just about defeating the Zarkaks. This was about demonstrating humanity's true potential, a potential that went far beyond traditional understanding of technological capability. Scientific analysis began to pour in. The Prometheus's defensive and offensive capabilities challenged every known principle of physics. Quantum communication arrays that operated across dimensional boundaries. Energy redirection systems that transformed destructive potential into constructive innovation. Nano-regenerative technologies that didn't just repair, they evolved. "The ship is still processing battle data," Cho said, his voice carrying a note of wonder. "It's not just recording. It's understanding, learning, growing." Footage of the battle became the most analyzed material in galactic communication networks. Military strategists from advanced civilizations studied every microsecond, trying to comprehend the impossible. How could a single vessel demonstrate such complete strategic dominance? The answer was both simple and profound: human creativity. The Zarkaks had relied on mathematical precision, computational models, fixed strategic frameworks. The Prometheus demonstrated something entirely different, an approach to conflict that was fluid, adaptive, almost alive. "We're receiving diplomatic envoys," Rodriguez reported. "Multiple civilizations are requesting communication protocols." Jessica watched the incoming transmissions. Each represented a civilization trying to understand a fundamental shift in galactic dynamics. Humanity was no longer just another young species. They were a force of innovation that could reshape entire strategic frameworks. "Prepare comprehensive data packages," she commanded. "But filter carefully. We're not just sharing technology. We're sharing a perspective." The deeper message was clear. Humanity's strength wasn't in destruction. It was in understanding, in adaptation, in the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Galactic communication networks continued to buzz. Military strategists rewatched battle footage. Scientific councils analyzed impossible data points. Diplomatic representatives prepared complex communication protocols. The universe had just witnessed something unprecedented. A single ship had not just defeated an invasion force. It had demonstrated that true technological potential wasn't about power. It was about understanding, about growth, about the relentless human capacity to imagine, to adapt, to transform. The Zarkak's hegemony was more than defeated. It was fundamentally changed. And humanity had just announced its arrival on the galactic stage. The Prometheus transformed from a weapon of war into something far more profound. As galactic diplomatic channels reopened, the ship demonstrated capabilities that transcended military application. Scientific teams from multiple civilizations studied its systems with a mixture of wonder and barely contained excitement. What had begun as a defensive platform was revealing itself to be a comprehensive problem-solving system that could revolutionize everything from planetary infrastructure to interstellar diplomacy. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a lead cynoengineering specialist, stood on the ship's observation deck, watching as molecular reconstruction systems began addressing the nearby asteroid field's structural instabilities. It's not just repairing, she explained to a delegation of Viridian scientists. The ship is fundamentally understanding the ecological and geological systems, then implementing solutions that preserve and enhance existing structures. The first demonstration came unexpectedly. A mining colony on the outer rim of explored space had been struggling with catastrophic environmental degradation. The Prometheus arrived, its systems interfacing with the colony's infrastructure in ways that defied conventional technological understanding. Quantum communication arrays expanded, creating a comprehensive diagnostic network. Nano-regenerative systems began reconstructing damaged ecological systems. Atmospheric processors recalibrated, addressing pollution levels that had seemed irreversible. Within weeks, what had been a dying colony became a model of sustainable development. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, the ship's primary diplomatic integration specialist, monitored the transformative process. "We're not just fixing problems," he reported to Captain Jessica Miller. "We're creating adaptive solutions that allow these systems to become self-sustaining." The scientific community watched in stunned amazement. The Prometheus wasn't just a technological marvel. It was a living system of problem-solving that merged human creativity with computational precision. On a contested border region between the Zarin Cooperative and the Miral Confederation, two civilizations that had been on the brink of war for decades, the ship's systems began to work their magic. Quantum communication arrays probed the complex diplomatic tensions, understanding the underlying cultural and economic challenges that had driven the conflict. "It's like the ship is reading between the lines," Dr. Ryan Cho observed. "Not just analyzing raw data, but understanding the complex human and alien motivations behind conflict." Diplomatic negotiations that had been stalled for generations suddenly found momentum. The Prometheus didn't dictate solutions. It illuminated pathways, revealed shared interests, and created communication frameworks that allowed different civilizations to truly understand one another. Planetary restoration became another unexpected application. A radiation-damaged world, long considered uninhabitable, found new hope. The ship's molecular reconstruction systems began a comprehensive ecological rehabilitation. Quantum-level environmental processors cleaned toxic atmospheres. Nano-regenerative technologies rebuilt ecosystem foundations. "We're watching planetary rebirth in real time," one environmental scientist reported, tears in her eyes. The ship's capabilities continued to expand. Medical research teams discovered that the adaptive technologies could be applied to complex biological challenges. Genetic reconstruction systems offered hope for treating diseases that had been considered incurable. Quantum communication arrays created diagnostic networks that could predict and prevent health challenges before they manifested. Captain Miller understood the deeper implication. The Prometheus was more than a technological achievement. It was a demonstration of humanity's fundamental approach to challenges, an approach defined by creativity, adaptability, and an unbreakable spirit of innovation. Interstellar communication networks began to shift. The ship became a diplomatic platform, a scientific marvel, a beacon of collaborative potential. Civilizations that had viewed humanity as a young, somewhat naive species now saw something entirely different. They saw potential. They saw hope. "We're not just sharing technology," Miller told her core team during a strategy session. "We're sharing a perspective, a way of looking at challenges that transforms them into opportunities." The Prometheus continued its journey. Each mission revealed new capabilities. Each interaction demonstrated a level of adaptive intelligence that redefined technological potential. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a living testament to human creativity. A promise. A future. The universe was watching, and humanity had only just begun to show what was possible. Years after the initial confrontation, the Prometheus stood as more than a ship. It was a living symbol of humanity's potential, a beacon that had fundamentally transformed galactic understanding. Captain Jessica Miller stood on the observation deck, watching as quantum communication arrays processed multiple simultaneous diplomatic negotiations. The ship had become something far beyond its original design. A mobile diplomatic platform, a scientific research center, a problem-solving system that continuously redefined technological potential. Dr. Ryan Cho approached, his hands filled with the latest comprehensive analysis of the ship's ongoing capabilities. "The adaptive systems continue to surprise us," he said, a sense of wonder never leaving his voice. "We're still discovering capabilities that were built into the original design by your grandfather." The Zarkak's hegemony had been completely dismantled, not through ongoing conflict, but through a comprehensive transformation of their entire societal structure. What had begun as a military conquest had become a profound cultural exchange. The ship's communication systems had revealed depths of understanding that traditional diplomatic approaches could never achieve. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez monitored the incoming data streams, planetary restoration projects, medical research initiatives, and complex ecological rehabilitation efforts spanned multiple star systems. The Prometheus wasn't just solving problems. It was teaching entire civilizations how to approach challenges with creativity and adaptive thinking. "We're receiving another request from the Galactic Collaborative Research Council," Rodriguez reported. "They want to understand the underlying principles of our adaptive technology." Jessica understood the deeper implication. This wasn't about sharing a specific technological breakthrough. It was about demonstrating a fundamental approach to innovation, a uniquely human perspective that viewed challenges as opportunities for growth and understanding. The ship had become a living university. Scientific delegations from hundreds of civilizations studied its systems. Each interface, each quantum communication array, each nano-regenerative system told a story of innovation that went far beyond traditional technological understanding. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, no relation to the lieutenant, presented her latest research findings. The ship's adaptive capabilities aren't just about technological solution. She explained to a packed conference of xenotechnological experts. It's about a fundamental approach to understanding. The Prometheus doesn't just solve problems, it learns from them. It grows. Planetary ecosystems that had been considered beyond recovery found new life. Diplomatic tensions that had existed for generations began to dissolve. Medical research pushed boundaries that had once seemed impossible. The ship touched every aspect of galactic development, not through force, but through understanding. "My grandfather always said technology is just another form of communication," Jessica told her team during a strategy session. "It's not about the tools we create. It's about the understanding we generate." The legacy of the Prometheus extended far beyond its initial design. What had begun as a defensive platform had become a comprehensive system of galactic collaboration. Scientific protocols were rewritten. Diplomatic frameworks were transformed. Entire civilizations began to view challenges through a lens of adaptive potential. Lieutenant Marcus Chen reviewed the latest diplomatic integration reports. Conflicts that had seemed insurmountable were finding resolution through comprehensive understanding. The ship's quantum communication arrays did more than transmit information. They created pathways of empathy and comprehension. "We're not just sharing technology," Chen observed. "We're sharing a way of thinking." The Zarkak civilization had undergone a complete transformation. What had once been a conquest-driven culture now became a collaborative network of scientific and diplomatic exploration. The ship had revealed depths of potential that went far beyond military capability. As years passed, the Prometheus continued its journey. Each mission revealed new capabilities. Each interaction demonstrated a level of adaptive intelligence that continued to redefine technological potential. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a living testament to human creativity. Scientific teams continued to study its systems. Diplomatic delegations sought its counsel. Planetary restoration projects rely on its comprehensive understanding. The ship had become more than a technological marvel. It was a promise, a future, a demonstration that humanity's true strength was never about destruction. It was about understanding, about growth, about the relentless capacity to transform challenges into opportunities. The universe watched, and humanity had only just begun to show what was possible.